Welcome to another episode of We Don't Die, where my goal is to give you evidence that although our bodies will disappear, we survive physical death. I'm your host, Sandra Champlain, author of the international bestseller called We Don't Die, A Skeptic's Discovery of Life After Death. Our guest today is a great guy coming to us from New York City. He's Glenn Klausner, a world-renowned psychic medium who has reunited thousands of people with their loved ones for over 20 years. In fact, Glenn has been tested as a credible, legitimate medium on private investigator Bob Olson's website, bestpsychicmediums.com. Glenn has appeared on numerous television and radio shows, has been written about in 4 books, and most recently on Hay House's website, healyourlife.com, where he channeled a message from Robin Williams. You can visit Glenn's website at glennklausner.com or go to wedon'tdieradio.com right now if you want to see a picture of Glenn's smiling face. So Glenn Klausner, welcome to We Don't Die Radio.
Well, thank you very much, Sandra. It's really lovely to be here.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you. You're a big deal in my eyes, and you're the real thing. And I'm just honored to be able to share you with my audience. And thank you to our listener too for taking the time right now to listen in. So, Glenn, just if you want to share a little bit about you, it's very interesting when I talk to different psychic mediums how you actually became a psychic medium. Is this something? Can you tell us a little bit of your backstory when you grew up and how it all
Well, sure.
developed?
Sure. I mean, I grew up in New York, and it all really started when my mom started putting lemon juice and peroxide in my hair as a little boy, and
Oh
that's when the whole
no.
psychic medium thing opened up. My hair really was that as a little boy, but it was really when I first recognized the ability to communicate to spirits that were non-physical was at the age of 4. And it had started with my maternal grandfather, my mom's dad. He had transitioned a few years before I was born in this incarnation. And so I would be dialoguing, as what you can call channeling, is dialoguing, same thing, messages from him saying certain things to my mom, and my mom would validate it. And then it went away for a while, and it would be things like, let's say, if you were my next door neighbor, I knew you were going to ring the doorbell or be at the door before you actually showed up at the door.
Hmm.
And then the days of no caller ID, knowing that, grandma was going to call on the phone before the phone even rang. So it was like things like that, or getting feelings and hunches about people, if they were, if they were a really nice, decent person or not, and you kind of had those I had those kind of feelings. And then really the whole spirit communication stuff, I mean, with me seeing beings that were non-physical, besides the one I'd seen as a youngster with my grandfather, really started to take more shape into my teen years as I got into high school. And that's when it really just started to evolve more and more. And from there, the rest is history.
So it was a real natural thing. Did your mom tell you stories about when you were 4 and what it was like for her?
No, I mean, both my parents have now passed on,
Yeah.
but my mom was very intuitive herself as well.
Okay.
And so it was easy to relate things with her because she had a thing. But I mean, I don't ever recall her like 20 years later, when I was in my 20s, her saying, "Hey, Glenn, remember when you were 4
Right,
and this is
right,
what,
right.
it was never like
Well,
that."
that's probably because she was spiritual and in like a believer, as opposed to you being the freak child that's seeing
Yeah,
dead
no,
people.
she
Yeah.
she had a very innate ability also to kind of feel things about people and read their energy. She didn't do it as a profession or anything like that, but she had a good sense of intuition.
Yeah, that's cool that your family was open to it. It was the furthest thing from conversation in my household, so growing up.
Yeah.
So that's really nice to have that support. And then, so as a teenager, I mean, did you graduate from school and become a medium, or did you work?
No, I actually started, no, not at all. I actually started off really with an interest in playing music, which I have successfully done as well.
Oh, good.
And see, the goal I wanted to do is be a musician, and I
Hmm.
am a musician. So even when people ask me, "Are you a musician?" I do say yes because I am still a musician too. And you're not here to be on earth to be like one thing or pigeonholed into one thing or think you relate to that identity because you're actually none of it, in reality. It's just the thoughts or people's perceptions of that. I mean, granted, being a medium is the career,
Right.
but that's not me all
As
day
who you
long.
are. Right.
yeah, it's not all of who I am
Hmm.
either. Neither is anybody in this world. So
That's good news,
meaning,
actually, that we can have
yeah,
varied
it's like saying,
ages.
well, yeah, I mean, if you're a parent, you don't just walk around going, I'm only a parent.
Right.
You have other aspects of you. So the the thing that was really the thing I wanted to do was be a professional musician. And then really the whole career, how I got into being a medium, was when I dyed my hair jet black. and
Oh,
yeah, I have to throw in the humor there. That's
yeah,
just been
good.
from my nature. But when really it was when friends, I would do readings for friends and neighbors, and they would say, "Oh, you should do this as a career." I'm like, "No, no, no, no." But it really took in when I got, past the teens, and I now became early 20s. That between the passing of a friend of mine and other events that were taking place around the same time, and trying to really figure out what to do, in my life, and just it was kept coming at me. It was like more to me. I looked at it was like source, what people call God or whatever you want to call it,
Hmm.
source energy, divine intervention. All the people still kept coming towards me and saying, you should really do this. This is your, you have this amazing ability to communicate to people who have passed on, and even when I was a child, I always wanted to do something that was healing, and I have done that through my music too, because that's been a big um, thing for me with music is to write songs that lift the human spirit up, that go to the heart. They're not the songs that make you, want to go to sleep, So
Yeah.
I've always felt like when I was a child, I wanted to give something back into the world that would be very healing and real positive for people. More so, the positive
Right.
and healing, because I can't heal somebody else. Healing's within ourselves. But if I can provide a service where that is a positive, then there's the healing.
Yeah, definitely. Is there a place we can listen to your music, or
Yeah, actually on YouTube, I mean, it's under a different name. I mean, I'm all
will you
all on
tell
the
us?
internet.
Yeah, I love
It's
it.
yeah, it's Glenn with two N's and Kid with two D's.
Okay.
So if you just Google that name and you see things that relate to music, that's me.
Okay. That's fine. That's awesome. And for our listener, I'll have on we don't die radio.com and Glenn's episode a link to his music too, because I love that kind of stuff. I really do.
Thank
Because sometimes music is so healing, and just even listening to the words can sometimes be just the thing we need to hear that day, you know?
Well, absolutely, and that's for me even today, in these times, that when I listen to songs that I so love, like the Motown sound, for instance, and not to knock Motown in any way, because I love all the musicality of it, but when I even sometimes hear the lyrics of people that I love, singers that I love, like Smokey Robinson,
Right.
and I go, wow, those lyrics are not as positive, they're not that positive. Great piece of music, upbeat piece of music, great singers and great musical performers that played on those songs, or anything, in any genre of music. But I now tend to want to hear music that really lifts me up as well.
Right. Right. Yeah. Oh, I think we all do. So let's talk about you being a medium and what
Yes,
that's like. I'm just imagining you probably do phone readings and you probably meet with people face to face. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
both.
Any of the group readings?
I've done lots of group readings, and seminars throughout my career.
Yeah. And how do I ask this question? What is it like for you when you connect somebody and you see the person right in front of you or you're talking to on the phone when you really make one of those connections, and what's it like for you when you can see on somebody's face the impact, like, oh my God, this guy really is bringing in dad or mom or husband or spouse or you know
W- Well, sure. It's a great question. Well, on the phone, I can't tell, because obviously I'm not
you
seeing
can.
it. Yeah, I can hear it in the voice, and it's really truly a beautiful, wonderful feeling to have that kind of experience. I mean, if I'll give you a quick story of
Sure.
something that was really because it's personal to me at the same time. So, about I guess it was about 6 years ago, I actually contributed this story for a book that I've been called Visits from Heaven by Josie Varga. I had submitted this story to that book, and so this couple had come to see me in person, and they had come. The wife is a school teacher, so the husband had asked me if I would do it on a Saturday, and I said okay, because normally I don't work on the weekends, but unless I'm doing a seminar or something.
Hmm.
But I ended up doing the session for them. They came to see me in person, and the husband was the one that found me on the internet. And these folks are relatively in my age group. They're maybe 2, 3 years older than me, and so they sit down, do the reading. the husband's grandfather comes through first, and he validates the grandfather. And the girl, his wife, the woman, his wife, I should say, her mom came through. And now the spirit, I'm looking at her, and I said to myself, she looks familiar. Not the daughter in front of me, but the spirit looked familiar. Like, where have I seen her
Right.
before? So I continue on. I'm delivering the messages, and I was taping their reading because they had brought a tape for me to tape record it. As soon as the reading ended, 60 minutes later, and I handed the tape back to them, the mom, in spirit, says to me, "Glenn, I know you." And I says telepathically back to her, "Well, of course, I've been talking to you for the last hour." She goes, "No, no, no. You don't understand. I knew you when you were a little boy in Brooklyn, where you grew up." And I'm like, she goes, "Look at my daughter. You don't recognize my daughter?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "We lived on the same block." And she's telling me the street and the neighborhood. And then she said, "Let me show you my husband. He didn't come through in the reading, but he had just recently transitioned." And as soon as I saw her husband, I says, "Oh my God, Joe, with the little Chihuahua Tootsie." And it came, and I said, I looked at the girl in front of me, and I said, "Oh my God, I know who you are." I says, no, I said to her, "Let me ask you, your mom was telling me." I said, "You grew up in Brooklyn?" And I named the street. She's like, "Yes." And her and her husband, they're freaking out,
Oh, of course.
right? And I hadn't seen these people since 1983, so I hadn't seen them in like 25 years at that point, right?
Uh-huh.
And and then I said, "Yeah, I see you. Your dad's name is Joe, and you had a Chihuahua named Tootsie." And she goes, "Oh my God!" She's like, "Glenn, little Glenn," and like she says, "You had blonde hair," and she remembered my mom, she remembered my brother, but it was the funniest thing that to me, if I that day had I ever doubted that life after death didn't exist, that day proved it to me for the simple fact because I had no idea this girl was the same girl who lived on my block as when I was a child, that I lived on the same street with her for 9 years,
That is
but I
funny.
hadn't seen her since I was a child myself. So it was an amazing, an amazing experience for them and for myself. And I remember saying to the mom, "Why didn't you tell me?" Or like, "Why did the dad come through the reading?" And he didn't, and he knew me, and he just felt like if he would have showed himself to me in the very beginning of the reading, or the mom would have told me, it would have watered down the whole reading. Like the messages would have not come out as intended, and
Mm-hmm.
then their daughter, respectively, myself, would have been reminiscing about the neighborhood that we lived in and our childhood, which ended up happening anyway for another hour after that session. So that
Oh,
was that was a
that's
really cool
wild.
moment for me.
That's wild. When you see people, I'm guessing it's in your mind's eye, and I mean, tell us what that's like. I mean, you've been living within your own skin for a long time, but what is it? Is there a way you can put into words what it's like for you to be the medium? I mean, like, are you seeing people? Are you hearing things? You know?
Well, when I'm dialoguing with non-physical entities, I'm always hearing them, but I don't hear them the same way you and I hear each other. I hear them like the way you remember a song, or you remember the sound of the voice of another loved one of yours, or
Okay.
the way you remember maybe a line in a movie
Right.
that you like, and the way that they emulated that line, or they phrased it or something. And it's that same way. I mean, I can tell. So even if I deal with a spirit who came from another country, I'm not really paying attention to the accent. I'm more paying attention to the words.
Right.
So it's not like, "Hello, how are you?" I mean, sometimes I hear stuff like that, but it's really more internal anyway, as opposed to external with the ears. And then as far as seeing them, I don't see them like I see an actual tangible person. I see them in my mind's eye, just like the way if I say to you, remember what Elvis Presley and Marilyn Monroe looked like, you see that image in your mind because you've seen what they look like. But had you not physically seen what they look like, and somebody told you about this Elvis Presley guy, you would be trying to image what he looks like until somebody showed you a picture of him.
Correct.
See, so but spirits, they are fully aware that when they present themselves in an image to me, it's so that I can describe them to the client, and so if, let's say, somebody's father did look like Elvis, a young Elvis, I can describe that very easily because it's in my frame of reference, and all mediums will tell you the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. That makes perfect sense. I've had people who have been disappointed, and I'm not blaming mediums per se, but is there a reason that sometimes people come through when we're looking for them and sometimes they don't?
Well, it's the same thing like dating.
Say more
I
about
mean,
that.
well, meaning like sometimes, you could go like on Match.com,
Right.
you see somebody's profile, and you're like, oh, they look interesting to go, have a date with, and then you go have a date with them, and they're not your bag. So it's sometimes the same way with the spirit world. I mean, the spirit world, the biggest misconception that people on Earth have is feeling like that non-physical entities are obligated to them, and that's not true at all.
Oh, I never thought
And
about that before.
that's a human ego because the human ego says, well, you're my parent, you should show up because, I'm your daughter, I'm your son. And your parent may feel like, I'm not ready to talk to you at this moment. You're not ready to really hear what I have to say from another dimension. For whatever reason, it's not because they don't love you. It's just there's a variety of reasons why that can happen. And sometimes the person themselves, could have an inner feeling, because if you're the one projecting a thought and going, oh man, what if my mom doesn't come through? What if my mom doesn't come through? Well, guess what? Your mom may not come through in the reading because you were putting out into the universe for your vibration that you thought, what if my mom doesn't come through the medium? What if my mom never comes through any medium I go to? So your mom figures, well, I'll prove it to you that I'm not going to come through to you. We'll do it again until you change your thought and your perception. And that's why that actually happens too.
So preparing for a reading, we have to be open.
Open-hearted and open-minded, and be willing to hear what your ears may not be wanting to hear.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't always hear what we want to hear. That I know for
Yeah,
sure.
and our loved ones in spirit, they're there because they love us since the guys are living in a dimension that is pure love. It's not ego. But they also don't necessarily look to, even if you had a loved one on earth that would love nothing more than to tell you what to do with your life, they're not going to play that game with you from the spirit world. That's not how it works.
Yeah, they do I mean, I can't imagine they have all the answers, and I because I think that while we're here
We,
as human, like we're supposed to come up with our own path, right?
we actually do have all the answers. They're recorded in our cells. That we have trillions of cells. We're basically made up of trillions of cells. We're really our reality is we're a petri dish of trillions of cells layered in flesh, and our body is mostly made up of water. So we actually do know the answers to everything. We just think we don't.
Oh, yeah, and we think a lot of times the power is outside of us. We think we're victims and things that happen to us in our lives.
Right. I mean, that doesn't mean, hey, if you know how to fly an airplane, you go, I know how to fly an airplane, but
Right.
you go train for that. But it would be easy. It's the same thing that nobody as a little boy or girl is trained of how to drive a car. Granted, you might as a, do with a bicycle or like those big wheels, or you just go into those, like I used to when I was a little boy, the little race car kind of thing,
Yep.
but the go-karts. It eluded my mind for a minute. But no one really tells you how to drive. Like when you go to motor vehicles to get your driver's license, I mean, maybe you take a few lessons, maybe you don't. I mean, I didn't take any driver's lessons. I just went and took a road test, the written test and a road test, and got my driver's license. And how do you end up? No one could really teach you how to drive a car, how to gauge how much gas to use or how much breakage
Mm-hmm.
to use, and how to turn so you don't hit other people and pedestrians and stuff. But it's the same sort of thing. There's an inner knowing, you see, of how to drive a car.
Hmm. Very good. I'm thinking more about our loved ones on, do you call it heaven? What the other side? What is your lingo for that?
I, I I mean, I'm happy to use whatever lingo makes people feel comfortable. I mean, I won't use these terms heaven and hell. Heaven's a nice word. Hell's a
Yeah.
nice word too, actually. It's only our perception we think it's bad. But I mean, I think that I like to just more say it's just another dimension.
Eh,
If you want to call it nirvana, you want to call it paradise, you want to give it what it's like the word God, whatever people call it.
right.
It's what it's like you're Sandra, but if somebody called you Sandy, would you be offended?
Probably not.
Right.
No. Where is this nirvana heaven? You mentioned it being like a different vibration.
That I could say is all around us. When I was a little kid, I used to think what the place that we call heaven is way above the sky,
Oh
way
yeah,
above the moon. Or,
past the
but
clouds. Yeah.
yeah, but no, it's actually really just right here. If you put your hand out in front of you, it's right here. It's just really, it's just like a radio or TV that's still playing the programs, and it's right here. It's just another vibration. That's all it is.
That's so cool. And yeah, it might be long distance for you to tap into them if they're beyond the stars, but well, maybe not. But it is cool just to think that there's this kind of an invisible world going on right around us. And you're right. Like we can't see radio waves and television waves, but they're very real.
Exactly. Like right now, I mean, there's programs all over the world that are going on radio and TV, and yet we're not tuned into them. And that's basically the spirit world.
Right. And then you are tuning into them when you do a reading.
Exactly.
and like turning on the radio or something like
It's
that.
mutual. Yeah, it's mutual. I mean, those spirits are tuning into me, and I'm tuning into them too.
Oh,
And they're tuning into the
yeah.
client, we're clients, because it's all, think of it, it's like a, basically think of it like electricity. You have the electric company providing electricity to your home.
Hmm.
You've got that utility box, that the circuit breakers,
Right.
and then you have the switches, and of course you have the light bulbs, and they all work in unison with each other. That's the way I like to make the connection, because it's the easiest one of the easiest analogies.
Yeah, and it's a visual thing that we can all picture. Our loved ones, are they all hanging around us all the time, ready to talk, or are there like things that they're doing in heaven, in the hereafter, nirvana, wherever? I mean, like you mentioned the ego,
Mm.
that they're not
Yeah.
obligated to us. I'm like, oh, that's really profound.
No, I mean,
So,
even you as an Earth being is not obligated to anybody either. That's a
no,
misconception.
heck
Just because
no.
you, just because your parents gave birth to you doesn't mean that you're obligated to doing something that you don't want to do for them, or
Yeah.
anybody for that fact. You just think that. So you have to. It's coming back to really honor who we are in our own divinity. But as far as the question goes, where uh, they are they around us all the time or 24 hours a day? Well, they don't measure by time. We do, and they weren't around us in 24 hours on Earth either.
Thank goodness.
So I don't know why people worldwide think this. I mean, they think that people's loved ones, even my own loved ones, I know for a fact that they're not around me all the time. I know that they're there if I call out to them. I know that they are around me. Like there are guardians who look after you consistently, but they don't necessarily mean that your immediate loved one from this lifetime. It could be from a lifetime, another lifetime that they didn't incarnate with you, and they're just there to watch you. But I mean, if you really think about it, even if you go to sleep, your Uncle Charlie, who is on Earth right now, let's say, he's not coming over your house to watch you sleep.
Right. There's somebody who
He,
wrote a book, Do Dead People Watch Us in the Shower? And
oh
I
yeah,
just,
Conchetta Bartoli.
yeah, I'd love to talk to her sometime. It just, it, again seems like an ego thing that, oh, they're always around us and they're watching. And do you have any insight?
Source energy is always around us and watching us. The
Same
source.
source, meaning if we want to call it God, universe.
Right,
Okay.
right. That's
Int-
always with us. That's always with us. But Uncle Charlie and the dog Louie, no.
have there been any words that you've received or insights about what it's like when we transition? What that realm is?
Well, I mean, pretty much they've all said the same thing. I mean, it's just pure bliss. I mean, they realize it's all unconditional love. They realize, I mean, they know that it's a place of non-judgment. I mean, they would only be the judges of themselves, of their own lives. But they, like, even if you have a loved one in spirit and you're doing something that could be a concern,
Yep.
that they're looking at you and they're not looking at you in judgment. They're always like, I can't believe my daughter, is going to Vegas and blowing that money I left her. And they could be, because they realize, well, you have choice. You have free choice in everything that you think and feel. It's your life, not
Mm-hmm.
theirs.
Yeah.
So though they can be concerned about us and what we're doing, and they want us to be well, of course, and happy. That's important. They want us to
Sure.
be happy. They certainly don't want us to be depressed. And they're not depressed, and they don't want us to be depressed. But they certainly can't, like if somebody has a thing with alcohol, they may talk about it, but they're not going to knock a bottle out of a person's hand that's drinking.
Right, because we do have the free choice.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Now, if they're not always around us, you mentioned we have guardians. Do you mean angels by this, or what?
You can call them that. Sure, you can
What
call them angels. You
What do
can
you
call
mean
guardians.
by this? We have Guy. I mean, just could you, if you
We
can
have
talk. I feel very alone a lot, even though I've written the book, I've done enough radio shows, I've been told. But are we alone, or who are these
no, no.
guardians?
No, we're never alone. I mean, that's why, like, even when you ask the question about are our loved ones around us 24 hours a day, no. But if you call out to them and ask them to be around you, they are. They could be in multi. You're not disturbing them. Just I want to make this clear to to you and your
Okay.
listeners, that your loved ones are not being disturbed if you call out to them in any shape or form, and that's what they're there for. And so when you ask them to come around and help give you, even if it's giving you strength, um, helping you in health matters, financial matters, whatever it may be, that's what they're there to do. And as far as your particular guides and stuff that are with you and angels and stuff like that, yeah, they're there. I mean, you're not alone. I mean, many times people feel the same thing. They feel they're all alone
Right.
in this great big world. We've all been there. I've been there, and we've all been there. And but you have to know that the wonderful thing is that a lot of times those non-physical entities will put physical entities in our existence to brighten our day, to put a smile on our face. And you could be walking out in the street and feeling all alone. All of a sudden you look at a little child, and the child just smiles at you and waves and goes, hello, and the child doesn't even know you. And you're like, oh, hello. But see, the child recognized you. Maybe all the adults around you didn't recognize you that day, but a little kid did, or a dog came up to you and wagged its tail and wanted you to pet its head. And that, to me, is like the spirit world's way of letting you know you're not alone. And even if you're home, you don't go out all day, and maybe you're feeling alone, but you then turn on a piece of music, and there's a song with words that just really were like, ah, okay. And the song it could be Michael Jackson's, whatever that, You're Not Alone, or
Mm-hmm.
We Are Not Alone, whatever the song is called. And right then you're like, oh, okay. But what happens is the human gets so caught, and we all do. It's happened to all of us in a human form. Our mind the ego likes to think it's the boss, and likes to think it's doing, like, really constructing our lives. And we have to be able to learn how to quiet the voice of the ego and go more into the heart. And if we listen more into the heart, because that's the first organ. Ego is not an organ, by the way.
Right.
So the heart is the first organ that when we were created with our mother and our mother and
Mm-hmm.
father doing the horizontal bop,
Mm-hmm.
that the heart, if we go in there and listen to the heart will tell us. Our gut, our stomach has a brain, and it will tell us also if we tap into it and talk to it and listen. And because again, all that information is within us. But it is amazing when spirits really do send signs our way, and oftentimes people will dismiss and go, "Nah, that was just a coincidence."
I have one. I mean, I've heard it in music sometimes. I'm having a low day and I turn on the radio and it's like, oh, like that was played just for me. I mean, it really feels that. And then the other thing that's been happening a lot in the past couple years is the number 333 or 3333 or 33. And I don't know why, but for some reason I have connected that to like reminding me that this life isn't it. There is a bigger picture. And even yesterday, I had a full physical and I went to a new doctor and I hate going to doctors and I was scared. I really was. Blood pressure was up and everything. And while I was in her office on the board and a phone number, the last four digits bright and clear were 3333. And it's like, relax, Sandra. This isn't it. This person's a gift in your life. You're a gift in theirs. And as it turned out, everything went well. But it's just, like that was one of the signs that reminds me that there's more to it than
Absolutely,
meets
and
the
I
eye.
assume that the doctor was nice.
Not only was she nice, but she started asking me about my life and I've always had a weight problem up and down and I said, "Oh, I gained all this weight back after my dad died." And she said, "Well, tell me about that," which led into me telling her about my book, which is a lot talking about grief in the book. And she had her nurse's sister's husband just died and it's going to be passed around the office, and like that conversation wouldn't have happened had it not been like that. So especially somebody in the medical field now has another tool to share with people to help with grief, and it was awesome. It really was. I mean, I like hugged them on the way out and that was not predictable. But it
No, it's
took me
very, very
quieting my
beautiful.
mind. Oh, sorry. But I had to
No, go
quiet my
ahead.
mind. I had to quiet my mind that wanted to be afraid, that wanted to like worry. I mean, it was just like the ego, the inner mind that doesn't shut up. It's like it really takes something sometimes to just be present and be like,
The
it's
ego never shuts up. Though I can say, I just finished reading this book called The Untethered Soul by a guy named Michael
oh,
Singer.
I have that right next to my bed right now.
See, really good book, and it's talking about, like allowing the thoughts and feelings to come up, like your dad passed, and
Yeah.
and the weight is really emotion. That's all weight is. Even if you were eating a salad and drinking water and eating clean and whatever,
Mhm.
it's really again our vibration. And I go through this too with different things that as soon as all of a sudden that ego does the talking, and we have to remind ourselves that they're just thoughts, they're just feelings, they're not us, they're really truly not us. If we just let them pass through us, sort of like the way clouds pass through the sky, and we just allow ourselves to be in peace within ourselves, then it's amazing how we can stay healthy. And because all illness is really just a misalignment of where we're at in our thoughts and our vibration. And I'm talking about like things from, well, I don't see weight as an illness or anything like that, but anything from a cold.
Yeah.
Somebody could be near somebody and go, I don't want to catch your cold, and then all of a sudden they do.
Right.
And we have to be very mindful. We're in a time right now, which I can share with you, which is what one of the things that a lot of spirits have shared with me, including my own mom and dad, is that we are to retrain our brains, all of us, to retrain our brain, like tell ourselves the story that we want to hear. We're so been caught up in programs from, and it's nobody's fault. It's just programs from childhood mostly, primarily started in childhood, with between our families and society, and then the media, and with media, like women have to be a size 0, for instance,
I
right? So
know. Yeah.
women have had this sort of thing. And same thing with men, you gotta like have the perfect, abs and,
Mhm.
be like this and be like the bodybuilder and whatever it is. And all these things that has been put out into the world. But really, one of my songs, the song that I have under my name, Glenn Kid, a song called Go Love Yourself, when I wrote that, it was really, there's a part in the song, the B section before the chorus that says, you have nothing to prove to anyone else. Just remember your divine wealth and go love yourself. And that song is talking about honoring your divinity in really the whole thing, that whole message about that song really is honoring your inner divinity. You're honoring who you are as a soul. But you got to remember, we've coming from thousands of years of lineage passed down
Yeah.
to all kinds of things, and we're having to basically rewrite our subconscious mind, and that's what the Untethered Soul even talks about. That's what even guys like Bruce Lipton talk about,
Mhm.
and Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Mhm.
These guys they're all in the know. They know this. It's rewriting our brain.
Man. Any quick tool you can give us to rewrite a story we want to hear?
Well, okay, let's use this. This is kind of funny, and I was actually having a conversation with a friend of mine about this last night. So let's say when you were a kid, your parents told you that eating cookies was really bad and it was going to make you fat.
Right.
Okay? Now
Mhm.
let's play with this cookie story because this is really funny. So let's say when you were a kid, people told you cookies was really delicious. They were really delicious, but you wouldn't want to eat them because they were so good that you avoided them. Now, can you imagine if that program was playing?
Oh,
People were
yeah.
telling you people were telling you cookies and ice cream and it's so delicious, but you don't want to eat it because it's so delicious and it's so good and it puts a smile on your face and makes your body feel good, and you'd think I would never go near a cookie.
Right.
But now, so it right there, you see, this is the thing. Like even with all the things that are out there about food, like one of the things I like is like Abraham Hicks, where
Uh-huh.
Esther Hicks channels those diet, the group of entities named known as it's Abraham. And I like sometimes they get kind of snarky because they say it's amazing how any of you find anything to eat on this earth. Because we get so kind of all caught up about even the food. I better eat this because if I have this strawberry, it's not organic. And
Oh,
it's an
I know.
yeah, and all we have to
Oh.
really do is the vibration with the food is be in alignment with it. Bless it, really just bless the food because even, and I've went through this, my mom even brought this to my attention,
Mhm.
and this just shows you the kind of education that spirits do give us from beyond if you listen, where I asked my mom, what is the difference between the regular food and the organic food, like let's say an apple?
Mhm.
And she laughed at me. She said, besides the price? I go, yeah. She goes, nothing. She goes, because let's say the truck driver comes to pick up the organic apples from the farm, and that truck driver had a fight with his wife that morning, and he's pretty upset. He's now touched those apples. He's got in his truck. He brings it to the local supermarket in your town or city. And the person taking that off the truck, you don't know what's going on in their head. Maybe they're mad, or maybe they're upset their loved one just passed away. And now it goes stocked on the shelf, and you get all the customers coming in, they're touching those organic apples, and they got trillions of thoughts going through their heads because you've got
Mhm.
all these people touching the apples. Now, you get to the apples, and you're feeling all high. You're feeling I don't mean high on drugs. I mean, you're happy. You're, all that.
Yep.
You get to the checkout line. The cashier is depressed because, for whatever reason, and she's now touched it and gone into the bag. So you got to really purify that organic apple because it just went through a lot of tainted energies.
That's so cool. I took a course on dowsing using the dowsing rods,
Yes.
and we would do that with food. We could see the rods open if that was the instruction with a highly filled energetic thing, food or whatever it may be, if somebody's watch. And so we actually were given the tool, like say if we're holding somebody's watch, to have real negative thoughts, and the dowsing rods could pick up a negative, and then with the power of prayer or blessing we could turn it into something good. Same thing with food. So I mean, I actually witnessed it, and if anybody who's not seen dowsing in action, Joey Korn with dowsing.com is my friend, and it's mind-blowing to see. So just whatever you do, power of prayer or blessing really does work. So that's a good reminder to me too, who's trying to eat healthy these days. It doesn't necessarily need to be the organic, whole grain everything, but to bless it.
Absolutely, and you can bless yourself back into wellness. Just saying to yourself, the words "I am" is very powerful.
Okay.
Saying "I am in perfect, radiant health," because the source that people call God. You think the source is anything but that? Source is
Mm,
all that. Love, happiness, health. It's us here that, based on our thoughts and feelings, has primarily got us out of alignment, out of what they call a vortex. But
right.
we have the ability, based on our thinking and our words that we choose, to uh, really get ourselves back in. And there is no right or wrong. See, that's our, meaning as far as words go or anything. It's just how, because if I say to you, Sandra, I love you, you're so really awesome, there's a
Oh,
positive, right? But if
thank
I go,
you.
Sandra, oh, you're welcome. But if I went, Sandra, I love you, but you're driving me batty,
Oh
that would
yeah.
have a
Yes, it
totally
would.
different vibration. You go, wait a minute, I used the words I love you, but they got two different vibrations running through the way I was saying those
Right.
statements.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the idea of all unconditional love and non-judgment. Like if we can really be that here, um, that would totally raise our vibration too. And I've seen plenty of instances of miracle healings. Even a friend of mine's has had stage 4 cancer, and through mind, he is now cancer free. So like it doesn't happen to everybody, but I've seen it happen. So I know we can restore our own health.
Absolutely, it does happen. The miracles like
Yeah.
that because we are a miracle. I mean, think about it. Not to sound funny, but I am going to make it sound funny.
Okay.
Two people, two people somehow once upon a time figured out that having sex creates a baby. Now,
Right.
where they get that manual from, I don't know. Whether it's Adam and Eve or whoever the two people are that figured that whole thing
Yep.
out. And then it got passed down. And there was, back in those days, there was no books, there was no internet. So this is something that Robin had brought up to me, and when I had channeled him, one of the messages that he did say, he actually brought that up, and it's kind of amusing because you really think, oh yeah, like it just got passed down, and here we are, we're a miracle. We ourselves are a miracle. We were in a woman's belly for 9 months
I know.
developing, and then we come out, and here we are.
And we can think and we can talk and we're connected by radio waves and all this miraculous stuff. If we ever just take a second, sometimes when I go out for a walk, I look at the ground. It's like, okay, there's rocks and earth and there's water, and like out of all of that, which is just the pure whatever we had in the beginning as planet Earth, like that we have everything that is around us. I mean, that's miraculous too. Like how the heck do we have it all, out of just those four or those basic elements, you know?
we, we really do have what's called heaven on earth. I mean, if we
Mhm.
really look around, all those things that we're provided for daily, just from the fact of food and shelter, clothing, and all these different things, no matter where you are in the world or what it is, and it's what we do have as opposed to what we don't have.
Yeah, and paying attention and being grateful for that. So you brought up the Robin thing. Can you tell us what happened that you channeled Robin Williams?
Well, it's very interesting. I mean, I like many people in the world, are a fan of
Me
Robin
too,
Williams,
big time.
and yeah, I had never personally met him, and so Robin, after he had transitioned, he had showed up to me. And apparently, he had showed up to a few other friends of mine as well, um, and and then I would be talking to friends of mine that are not even colleagues. They're just friends of mine that don't do readings or anything like that. and he would be channeling messages through me to them and so forth, and to a couple other people. So with Susan Lander, who's a friend of mine, I hadn't seen her in many years,
Mm-hmm.
and we had got together for lunch, and I knew she had published this book for Hay House, with Hay House, called Conversations with History, and I read her book. Her book was very interesting. I loved the one she channeled, like everybody from Ben Franklin and Gandhi to Andy
Oh,
Warhol.
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and I mean, I can tell that it was definitely channeled. I mean, I have that same thing with Esther Hicks. I can tell that that stuff's channeled. It's not made up.
Right.
So when I was sitting having lunch with her, she had brought up about Robin, and all of a sudden, poof, it's like he showed up, and he's like, "Hi there," and even the mannerisms that were coming out of me were like him. But he had spent probably about 2 hours dialoguing through me as she took notes, and he talked about a lot of different things that were not even in that blog that you had read on Hay House's website, healyourlife.com. But it was very interesting. I mean, even I like the part that he even talked about money, like our American money. That none of the people on the American money look happy. And he said, put Bill Clinton on there; he's happy. And we got to change that. He says they do, and it's really true because if you look at the money, none of those faces look happy at all. And I'm sure that George Washington smiled. I'm sure that Lincoln smiled and all that, but they all look kind of sort of somber or whatever, And then look how many people in the world get really bent and twisted about money, get upset. So if we change, what if we changed the faces? What if we made it smiley faces, right? And you looked at the money and go, even if it was George Washington's face, with a smile. So when he was dialoguing, he could really go. I mean, it's amazing with him because he's definitely quite chatty, but I liked a lot outside the humor, which a lot of that was there, of course, when
Mm-hmm.
he talked about things that were really prevalent about listening to the heart, going into the heart, and I'd have to read the article to see what he had said to me, or read even Susan's notes because it goes through you so fast, and especially like what he was given that day.
Oh, yeah.
But I found like he's been around people. Like I feel like from him, what I got was that he wants to be around people here to help them that go through things, get caught up in a program. Like one thing he had said to me privately in one other day, he said to me about like social media, for instance. He goes, if you put a picture up of yourself on Facebook and you keep going back to see how many people liked it and commented to it, you'll drive yourself nuts.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
He's like, and this is what he was explaining to me, like how people have this personality defect, and then if you just put a picture up because you really truly want to put a picture there for whatever reason, you put it there, let it be what it is. And he was telling me how like where a movie like Mrs. Doubtfire, for instance, which generated a lot of money, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a very popular film, and it did well, and he wasn't complaining about the work that he got. He was very appreciative, but he said like if that movie did well, and let's say the next movie didn't do as much money and he already made his money, so it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like he would maybe get more in residuals from the DVD sales or something, but it's he was explaining to me like how if one movie did great and then the other one didn't do as great, it used to drive him bananas. Well, like if the movie opened up with $100,000 at the weekend box office and the other one only did 50,000, he was like, "What's going on?" And it would drive. He told me it would drive him up a wall.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because yeah, yeah, I can get it. I really can. What made me smile, and just for our listener, when you go to we don't die radio.com and you see Glenn's episode, I'll have a link right there to his website where you can read, well, where you can read that article. I'll have it all ready for you. But I don't know you well enough to, like, I know you have a sense of humor because we've talked enough to know that. But when I read the channeled words that Susan Lander had in the blog post, it didn't sound like your voice that you're speaking right now. It really did sound like Robin Williams, and the stuff was profound. And after being so grief stricken, even though I didn't know him, I mean, he was such a great guy, and to hear about his suicide and to hear that he's no longer, and now to hear that he is, he's just in a different form. It really made me feel good. It really did. And so thanks for doing that.
Oh yeah, I mean, it's normally I don't do anything like that with a celebrity. And you know what was really funny with him in that day was that he had said to me, he goes, well, there was two things I'll share really quickly.
Okay.
One is that he said to me, she wants to interview Buckminster Fuller. And I said to her, is that true? Because she didn't interview him for her first book. And she says, yeah. I go, and he responded, he goes, Bucky's not here. Because Buckminster Fuller, so he was calling him Bucky. He said, Bucky's not here. And so
That's
then
very
she said,
funny. Yeah.
yeah, she said that she wanted to channel him for her new book, before even she had this discussion with me, and she wanted to also put in Christopher Reeve, which was his friend.
Mm-hmm.
So she asked, should Christopher be first or him? And he said, come on. He says, look, you're a woman. Let's be honest. If Christopher Reeve and I was standing next to you, which one would you be more sexually attracted to?
Oh,
And
gosh, that's funny.
he's like, look, at Chris was an Adonis. He goes, look at me. He goes, but don't let looks fool you. He goes, because looks doesn't mean that the guy can move around the bed like I did. But
Oh,
he was,
funny.
yeah, he was funny, and it was kind of like, he had a sense of humor, but he felt that it was okay that Chris could go first, not because he transitioned first. It was just Robin didn't have that kind of head like, oh, I got to
Yeah.
be first.
When you channeled them, Glenn, channeled him, was it, do you remember the whole thing? Like,
No, I remember that tidbit I just told you. I remember some of the little quirks, in that particular thing. Sometimes even with other readings, like where I've had clients, and I'll remember sometimes those little quirks of a spirit,
but
and
you're
because it was funny.
so in the moment and in the persona, I would guess that, like,
Yeah, like that tidbit that he tells her, he said, come on, you're a woman, who would you have sex with,
right.
Christopher Reeve or me? That's funny, so that's why I would remember it. But, if he was talking about something more serious, I probably wouldn't remember it, unless it was heartfelt, then I do.
Yeah.
But see, generally most people would think that I remember their readings, and I don't. The reason why I remember his is because, well, partially because his stuff sticks out a little bit more. No offense to anybody else, he is him. So
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like I would probably faster remember something my mom said to me from spirit than I would remember from your dad. You
Yeah.
follow me?
Exactly.
And not because your dad's message wasn't important or anything like that. But if your dad said something to me, like if your dad said, I was the Keebler elf guy," I would
Yeah,
probably
you would
remember that
remember that. Yeah. I
because it's funny.
and he was.
That would be really funny if that really was
Wouldn't
true.
it be? Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is not.
No.
That's really funny. Well, we have a few minutes left, and what haven't I asked you that I need to? I'm looking through some of the notes that I took. You have something that you talk about the a life script or a book of life or a blueprint each one of us has? Do we have?
Yes.
What does that mean?
Well, we all have this blueprint or script of our life, and basically, we it's well, it's like a movie script,
Okay.
and we write it before coming here to Earth, and we write it in all the things like where we're going to be born, who we're going to be born to, all the major events. I mean, not that you're going to have a grilled cheese sandwich at 1 o'clock on Wednesday afternoon. You don't
Right.
write that stuff in there, but the real main themes, you write in there, these experiences, and they're in there. You can't. I mean, once your parents are your parents. I mean, you can have adopt other people as your parents, but the people who really, were there, you can't change that. If you're, Asian, you're not going to change to be, African American.
Right.
So there's certain things we come in as those experiences. We're here, for experience. We're here as you know, and so that's pretty much what a blueprint is, and we work with it. We work with what we chose to come in with, and somebody could say, well, why would I choose this? And
Right.
people have this place of forgetfulness. Somebody could say to me, um, did you just wake up one day and become a medium? I'm like, no, it was obviously there all along. It was in my blueprint. I just lined up at this exact moment in time to George's profession. So even though all the people were leading me to kind of suggesting I would do it, which I took as a great sign, but I know that it was within me the whole time. It wasn't like I just said, well, yeah, I think this would be an easy occupation for me, because actually it's not a very easy occupation.
Yeah. And I believe that through every hardship in our life, we learn something about it. So death of my dad, I created my book. I've heard so many people that have witnessed and done and experienced some terrible things, but where they are now is just in a better place because of it. So I think if we actually think about that we created the life that we have now, or like we scripted it somehow ahead of time, again, that can take us out of victim mode. And, who knows what's true and what's not true, but I think it's an empowering place to be by, like, if I did create this illness or this relationship or whatever, what is there for me to learn in it? You know, maybe,
I don't
possibly.
know if it, I don't know if I didn't mean to interrupt you. I don't know if looking back in the history of my career, and somebody could, it's not about agreeing or disagreeing with me.
Hmm.
I don't really think that we're here to learn any lessons. I think we're all here for experience.
Okay.
We're all here to have fun. We are here to enjoy life. I mean, that is a must. We must really come here to enjoy life. We're not here to be sad and depressed and all these kinds of things. And we go through all the human emotions, the loss of a loved one and all these different kinds of things.
Yeah.
We all can say, hey, I relate in some way. But we're not. I mean, I think there's something you learn from an experience, but I don't
Hmm.
get that there's really any lessons in anything.
Hmm.
It's. I mean, I used to think that. I used to think, oh, that this is the school and we learn. We do learn here. We do, but it really. I think I just these days now, because maybe just the history of my career, I just like to tend to think experience and maybe you make different choices the next time around about things, even in this lifetime, whether it be about relationships or the way your approaches to things. Like this radio interview that I'm doing with you, which I'm having a wonderful time with you. I don't think of it as a lesson to me, or
Right.
what am I learning from it. I'm just enjoying the experience of it. But if I said something that would have not maybe been quote unquote the norm of me, I might think, well, okay, I won't do that again next time.
Yeah, so it is a learning experience. And like you,
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it and I just love sharing. I love learning myself and I love to share. So that's the whole reason
yeah.
it's created. So,
Oh, I love learning too. When you learn wonderful things, things that you don't know, or things that even like books that you get turned on to, like you
hmm.
reading the same book that I just mentioned, and I was turned on to it by a friend of mine. I really think that, like there's the information that I already know. It's just coming back into my awareness of it. It's just for me to remind myself of it,
Yeah,
and that's what I take. Yeah, that's
it,
what I take with books like that.
it's so funny because I've interviewed now, I don't know, 60 people, and I still find the ego part of me wanting to find the answer, right? And it's so funny just even listening to my own thoughts right now and reminding myself that I actually do have all the answers inside me
Right,
and
the
it's
answer
not
to what?
outside me. Glenn's not going to give the answer, because different
Well,
people say different things and I'm still looking for the answer. It's kind of silly.
well, I'll say this: if love is the answer to everything, what is the question?
Ah, that's pretty profound. Oh man, I've taken so many notes. Love is the answer. Well, our
It's
time
like,
is about up. Do you have any closing words or closing thoughts or anything before I wrap this up?
well, besides that, I'm so grateful and appreciative to be on your show today, and I've enjoyed this
Oh, me too.
interaction. I would definitely actually, you know what, that quote that I just said at the end there, if love is the answer to everything, what is the question?
Yeah, let's all think about that. That's really, really, really great. What is the
But we
question?
all do have, we all do have questions about different
Sure we
things.
do.
And there's nothing, there's, it's okay to question ourselves. It's okay to
Hmm.
question, like, where do we come from? It's okay to question how do you make this omelet, if you don't know how to make
Love is the
an
answer.
omelet. Right. Love is the answer. But it's okay to question those kinds
Right.
of things like, we, what is that bird across the street thinking? It's okay to question those things. There's nothing wrong about it.
No.
But it really all goes back to that love and that self-love and self-empowerment. And just what I would say to the people that are listening to the show is that, which is a wonderful honor that people even seek me out to have readings, and I'm still honored. I'm
Hmm.
so honored to do it, and still honored to do it after all these years, is that it's always important to know that you yourself can communicate to your loved ones anywhere, anytime. All you have to do is just be in the heart set of it, in the mindset, and know that you can. If you think that you can't, well, it's like Henry Ford said, whether you think you can or can't, you're right.
Right.
So it's knowing that you have the power, and you don't have to surrender the power to someone like me or to a priest or to a rabbi or whoever, that you have the power within you to make your life choices and decisions about things. But it's nice to get guidance. I mean, even I at times go to other colleagues of mine and I'll call them for an input on something because I'm too attached to my own story.
Yeah. Yep.
So, but I know that if we really do tell ourselves the story that we want to hear about ourselves and our lives, it would really be a great service we'd be doing a great service to ourselves.
Oh, that's great. You have a quote on your website that I cut and pasted that says, "Remember, the bonds of love never die between us and our loved ones. They are only a heartbeat and a thought away."
Yeah.
So that's a kind of a great way to end the show.
Yeah.
And so to our
And,
listener, oh, go ahead. I don't want to interrupt
I'm
you.
sorry. I'm sorry. It's the same thing
No,
also with it's also the same thing with physical life. Like, your loved one goes to school or goes to work or they take a trip or they move away. They really are only a heartbeat and a thought away, and
yeah,
they're not even physically deceased.
right. That's
You
awesome.
you go to work and your dog is at home and you're thinking about the dog and you're like, the dog is only a heartbeat and a thought away.
Yeah. Yep. It's awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
thank you so much for having me on your
Thank
show.
you too. And thank you to our listener for spending this past hour with us. I hope we've all enjoyed it because I certainly have. And just a reminder, you can go to glennklausner.com. That's Glenn's website, GLENNKLAUSNER.com, or go to we don't die radio.com and click on Glenn's episode to see his smiling face and links to everything about him. And just a quick thing for our listener and for Glenn and for me, if any of these episodes make a difference for you, take a second and just press share on Facebook or send it out on Twitter. You never know who in your life is grieving the loss of somebody or having a bad day. And although we often don't talk that we like life after death stuff, you never know how much it would make a difference if you share it with somebody else. So that's my request for today. So in closing, a thanks again to Glenn Klausner, our guest. This is Sandra Champlain. I believe with all my heart that life is an education for the soul and that our lives here on earth really are important. And so in the words of Glenn, we're here to have fun, to experience, to enjoy life, and remember, love is the answer. And what is the question? Very profound thought. So everybody have a great day and we'll see you soon.